time, and but I have to, like, before I make decisions, I'm like, all right, right now I'm excited, but I gotta wait till the emotion wears off and then make like financial decisions. So yeah, so I try to talk myself out of things first, and then like do a realistic thing.
On a scale from 1 to 10, hitting those marks on useless buys, how well do you think you do?
Useless buys? I wouldn't say useless. Anything for business. I think I've regretted some decisions, but I wouldn't have known that it didn't work for me until I purchased and whatever happened.
Right.
My situation's a little different, but like if I have like a bad situation with like a designer, but I already spent like 10K with him, I'm like, it's money lost, but I wouldn't have known until I got into it. So you got to take risks sometimes.
Talk about those risks. Talk about the biggest
Ooh.
the biggest risk that you've ever taken on your business, and the
biggest risk.
Yeah, whether it was positive or negative outcome. How was it?
You're making me think.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say my biggest risk was opening a business, period.
Mm-hmm.
I was young when I did it. I don't know if I was like fully ready, but I figured out how to be ready. But also like growth is constant, so it doesn't matter. Like you have to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
So I think that you just have to get to a point where you realize that, and then it's just constant growing pains, just like anything else in life. So, yeah.
Let's talk about that. When you get to that point of wanting to take a risk, how does it go from written down to fruition? And for you specifically.
For me, I try not to make decisions right away on certain things. I know that I always have to sleep on it. And if I keep thinking about it, then I should probably do it.
Mm-hmm.
Or I wait till I have like a vision. Because I'm weird like that. I'm a visual person. So like this sounds so weird. Well, artists understand this.
Yes,
but,
absolutely.
Like I'll be driving to work and then I'll get here and I'm like, oh my gosh, we have to do this. I just had a vision about this, this, and this. And so then we do it and it's great. So I try to sleep on things and wait for that moment, because if I don't, then I'm going to find myself struggling within, and then it doesn't happen the way I want it to. So I almost just wait till I have a vision for it, and then it happens, and it's wonderful. So not a lot of people understand that, though. I think my team thinks I'm crazy, but they understand by now. But, yeah.
We want to welcome a special guest today. We are in the lovely Bochic Bridal shop.
Bochic Bridal.
Bochic Bridal Boutique. The place looks absolutely amazing. You see the dresses in the background. Go ahead and introduce yourself today for us.
Okay, so I'm Manal Shteiwi. I'm the owner here at Bochic Bridal, and we will be in business for 5 years in November, half of which we're in a pandemic. Are we still in a pandemic? We're still in a pandemic, absolutely. I think. So I just had to throw that out there, but we're still here. But yeah, I'm the owner here, and it's been a good time.
Absolutely. You said 5 years, is that correct?
5 years in November, so a little over 4.
Yeah, absolutely. What was the start of that journey, and how did you get to opening a bridal shop?
You want the truth?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I guess I can start with like my background. I'm an original like fine arts major. So I went into fine arts and then switched through a couple different things. Fashion definitely took like the winner of it all. Went to school for fashion marketing and management. I was in retail for a very long time. Worked my way up within a company. store manager and thought that that was my life. And at some point I was like, I can't do this anymore. I wanted to eventually start my own boutique. And at some point within that, I decided I wanted to go into bridal. Maybe. I wasn't sure. So I jumped into it. And about 4 months in, I was like, all right, like, this is it. This space was available. It was not supposed to happen as quick as it did. But 6 months later, I opened up. I wasn't fully ready, but I just did it. And fast forward 4.5 years later, and here we are.
That's it.
Surface level story.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's some deeper things, but I don't like to get into deep things.
Talk about the challenges that you faced in this 5 years of being an entrepreneur, and did you know any entrepreneurs prior to you starting your own business?
Yes. So I come from a family of entrepreneurs, so that's definitely where a lot of this started. They're mostly in the restaurant business. None of them have a retail store. So for me, jumping into bridal, everyone was super confused. Like, what is she doing? Where did that come from? Not in a bad way. It was just kind of shocking to everyone. But definitely family has been like the number one thing. So I just feel like it's in our blood to do this. So you definitely need some thick skin to run a business. So if I didn't have that, I wouldn't have survived this long.
Absolutely. Talk about that family and in depth. How important is it to have people around you that's supportive of your business, and talk about having a team, being a boss of your own?
Having support is like the number one thing. I almost hate when everyone says, not everyone, but when people say that like they're self-made. Like, no disrespect to the people that do say it, but like if you didn't have people around you that supported your vision, and even just the people that you vent to, like a listening ear sometimes is all you need to get it off your chest. Those are still people that are supporting you in some type of way. But without that, and just having a team, I could talk about my team all day long. One thing I have hated, I guess I wouldn't say I hate it, it's challenging, is life is constantly changing. And so I know that like my team has had to change with their life changes, and I support them all still 100%, you know, even if they don't work here anymore. But I think that's one of the most challenging things that I have to deal with. But I still love them all, but they have been a super, super huge support system, especially through the pandemic. They've gone through some things with me, so I'm very, very thankful for a great support system.
Talk about the pandemic and how business was prior to it, and how do you feel it's working now, and what changes have you made?
So I was only in my business for, is it like 2 years before the pandemic? So I was still new. And I think that that's one of the hardest things.
Nothing. Go ahead.
Oh.
No, you're good.
Okay. Sorry. Scratch that. What was I saying? I don't know. What was I saying? Oh, pandemic. Okay, so I was still a very new business when the pandemic hit. So I honestly, first of all, I thought my life was over. I didn't think my life was over. I thought the business was over. I thought it was done. I held on tightly though. So we were shut down for 2 months. Yes. So shut down for 2 months. And in that time, I mean, I still had to like physically be here for like shipments and stuff like that. Business before that was okay. Like I said, I was still very new, so it's not like it was great, but it wasn't bad. Like we were doing well. And then we were shut down for 2 months, so that took a hit. But as soon as we opened back up, it was the best it ever was.
Absolutely.
But with that, we have been running into several different issues, as a lot of our designers are overseas, where they get their fabrics, they're overseas, and So that's been a constant battle in itself, especially because some shipments can't get over here, or there's shortages on different fabrics. There's staff shortages in different places. So like there's just been a whirlwind of issues. Yeah. So at this point, just taking a day at a time.
Talk about overcoming those issues as well, because I noticed the increase like in the middle of the pandemic for business, even in weddings. Like, how do you even explain that?
Right. I think
it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was confused too. Like when it was just crazy once we opened back up, and I was like, what is happening here? But a lot of people I feel like the pandemic either brought even couples closer together or tore them apart. It was one or the other. But we had so many people that, like, a lot of my brides are like, oh, well, me and my fiance met right before the pandemic, and then we spent so much time together, and, like, that's, you know, now we're getting married.
Wow.
Or weddings were pushed back, or they were pushed up, and people decided to do something more simple. So there's been several different things that have contributed to that. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just... I had to kind of train my mind to think that, like, when things are good, just enjoy them, because it never stays good. But as bad things happen or issues arise, then you just kind of take it a day at a time and handle it issue by issue. So I just try to enjoy the good when it's good, and then deal with everything else as it comes.
Absolutely.
So,
day at a time. I like that you said that.
Yeah.
Now for the transition into, because I feel like we're still in the pandemic. I don't think people are realizing that. But
no, we definitely are.
What have you been doing differently this time around?
I can't say I'm doing anything super different. That sounds bad.
I mean, you may or may not have, right? Everybody transitioned differently.
I will say, so pre-pandemic, right before the pandemic, and then 2 years in, I was working here full-time, like, alone, and I just had, like, help on the weekends, because that's our busiest time. But that was rough. Like, I went from doing that, and I was doing 7 days a week at one point, to then I was like, all right, I have to close one day. I can't, like, mentally do this anymore. Jeez. And then the pandemic, I think I'm allowed to put myself first in a few different ways. That sounds
absolutely.
crazy, but I'm working on a balance. So I'm like, you know what? Forget it. Like, like I started closing 2 days a week, and I'm like, I'll figure it out. Even though there's some days I'll work from home, but like physically being here at least 5 days. I guess, yeah, like that's some change. Like I'm working on a better work-life balance, because I think maybe the pandemic too, it's just like, you know what, like stuff is going to happen.
It is going to happen.
And the business is going to keep going, you know? Like I didn't see a business decrease in closing 2 days a week. So like that's a blessing in itself. But even hiring on, having like another person here with me during the week has been a tremendous help. So being able to have that has made a world of a difference as well.
Absolutely. Now, you had mentioned work-life balance. On a scale of 1 to 10, I ask everybody this: how organized are you as a person?
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that's absolutely great, because I noticed that a lot of people either have a really good balance for how organized they are, or they're not necessarily on that level that they want to be on. What does your daily to-do list look like to be so organized?
So I think I've learned organization that works in my industry, if that makes sense. So it's not your typical organization. So for us, it can vary by like daily by how many shipments we're getting in, how many appointments we have. You can't always have a balance with that. I mean, you can have a balance, but you don't always know what's coming at you each week. I mean, our brides book out pretty far in advance, so I know at least what the week is going to look like for the most part. I prepare my weekends to just focus on like the selling part of the business, and then during the week I focus on several other things. So that's as far as like shipments, working with other brides, setting up appointments for like bride pickups, and dealing with all the other fun stuff that business owners deal with.
Talk about those hats. How many hats do you feel like you wear as a business
75.
Yes.
No. It's almost there.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
100. I mean,
100.
I don't know which one do you want me to talk about first. There's so many.
Talk about them all. Talk about them all. Talk about the fact that people don't really understand what it takes to run a business and what they should expect from owning something like this.
So I do feel like I can tell people all day long what I do, but you never truly know until you're actually in it.
Fast.
Which is why, like, I think my team sees everything firsthand and they get it. Like, they're just like, whoa, like, there's so many things happening because they have to be able to adjust to certain things too. I just lost. What was the question again?
those hats that you wear as a business owner.
Okay, so
because you do so much, but people don't realize that this is not easy. Right?
Yeah.
People think it's just
like, oh, it looks nice, so like that's great, but like no, like to keep it looking nice is like it
takes work.
Yes. So I guess you have to be very self-disciplined. It starts with yourself first, but very self-disciplined in order to, so financially is one thing, and I'm not just saying financially in order to like pay the bills. Like when you're looking at new inventory for your store, when you're looking at budgeting for even payroll is another thing. Like if we have a bad month, I'm not paying myself. It is what it is. My girls come first. Like, and that sounds crazy too, but some people always say you should pay yourself first. I'm like, no, like that's the least of my worries. Like this has to stay running. Dealing with things with the pandemic, with price increases, that's been another thing. But being able to get inventory, know what inventory I need, social media is another world in itself. So being able to balance the several different things that you have to keep up with that. And I love that part of the business. It's hard for me to like let go of it, but what else do I do? Hiring, training a team, teaching them everything about the designers that we carry and how dresses fit and sizing for each designer and each dress. Just as simple as keeping the store clean, working with brides.
That's a whole nother.
Yeah, like that. That's like that's at
thing.
least 50% of the business, but there's several different things. Also, trying to stay sane and like be there for other people and like friends and family and stuff like that. But there's several different things. I don't think I named them all, but I can't think all of them off the top of my head.
That was absolutely perfect. Why Reading?
I don't think it's about don't put that part in there. Cut that out. Oh, Bridal District.
Yes.
Look at that. So why not is my question. So, why not? You ask why, but I say why not.
It's I'm gonna go back to when I was working at Fifth Third Bank, and I met an amazing person, manager by the name of Niso, and she introduced me to the businesses down here just because that was her duty and whatnot. And
you know, that's my cousin, right? Is that what you're about to say? Were we getting into
that's what we was gonna get into. So
cool.
the story that I just happen to have is just her just introducing me to a whole new world down here that I didn't know about, right? And when I noticed all the details and all the stores down here, and that it was a big area for brides. It was just amazing to see. So I can see why you chose it. Are you ever going to leave? Is the question.
That's a big question. I don't plan on it.
You don't plan on it?
I don't plan on it.
Okay.
If I was to, I wouldn't leave. I would potentially expand. So if I can do it all in one place versus like having to pay overhead somewhere else, like this would be ideal. And there's a lot. I have big visions for it, but
you absolutely should for your business.
It takes a lot of time to financially get there. So
no, absolutely.
Yeah.
What does that look like in the next 6 months?
Ooh.
For the business.
What?
Not even. Well, yeah, absolutely. We're gonna say that. We're gonna put that in there. You're gonna get that in the next 6 months. But realistically, what does the business look like for in the next 6 months?
Oh, I'm just trying to make it right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm just trying to make it. I'm not trying to do anything out of what I'm doing right now, just because there's like we are still in the middle of a pandemic, and there's other things that like, you know, I'm dealing with. I guess the business is dealing with. So I'm just trying to like take it day by day.
Absolutely.
So yeah, 6 months a little too soon. Where I see my business in maybe like 2 years, I got some hopefully things in the works.
You do have.
I'd like to. No, it's not like fully there. I see it, but it's not there. I'll know by next year.
If you weren't currently doing this, what would you be doing?
Me and my sister talked about this yesterday.
Uh-oh. Hey, it was meant for me to ask. I
would hope that I would be a stay-at-home housewife with 0 kids and traveling the world. That'd be great. No, I'm just kidding. But what would I be doing?
Traveling the world, being a stay-at-home. Yup, that sounds good to me.
It does sound great, but I also feel like I was put here for a different purpose, and like, yeah, traveling would be great, but like, I don't know, I just feel like when God places something inside of you to be able to like make a difference in all the things that you do, whether it's like, people might just say like this is just a retail shop, but it's way more than that. Like I get to work with brides almost every day, and like taking part of like one of the biggest days of their lives is so special. On top of like my team is freaking awesome, but like being a part of their life and seeing like what difference I can make there, and yeah, I just feel like my purpose is bigger than just that. I mean, I'd love to be sitting on a beach half the time, but this is also pretty darn great, so I love it.
Absolutely.
But it does stress me out half the time too, so.
How many weddings did you go to last year?
Oh, just a couple. I don't go to all the weddings.
Yeah. Do you know when to say yes and when to say no to weddings? Because I'm pretty sure you get. Do you get invited?
I've gotten invited to some, but not that many. There was like one bride I like previously knew, and so she invited me to her wedding, and I went. But anyone that like I haven't like fully known, but like there's one bride I specifically made a connection with her and her entire family. She came back in here several times. Even after she moved, she still came back here and like bought a dress. But she ended up doing her wedding in like Gatlinburg. Oh, I love her. But I couldn't like obviously physically get there at the time because it was a weekend. I had to be here, so like I couldn't be there. But I don't get invited to that many.
Do you ever feel awkward by doing more than one wedding for one bride?
What do you mean?
Have you ever had a client that got married, got divorced, and then came back to you for another dress?
Oh, no, that hasn't happened yet. Or I hope it doesn't happen. I mean, I would love that they would come support me twice, but I hope that they don't get divorced. Like, I've had brides that have like brought their family members in here, and then they tell me like, you know, unfortunately, like we split up, like, and I'm like, I'm so sorry, like that's terrible. And they've brought like their family members in here, which is great. But no one's came back for like a second dress from me.
Yeah.
And I hope that like, I hope it happens to me. I hope it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Like that's not, I don't wish divorce upon anyone, but I appreciate them still supporting my business.
At least you're honest about it, right?
Yeah, like it's great, but no. Yeah, I hope they stay together forever. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's to wrap it up. Describe your business in 5 words without saying wedding, without saying bridal, and without saying, that's it. Without saying bridal and wedding. 5 words.
But not a sentence. They're just randomly 5 words.
Randomly 5 words.
Taylor, I need you for this. 1 word, magical.
Magical.
Gosh, I don't like being put on the spot. Feel free to step in at any point, Taylor.
Oh, there she can
She's
hear you.
she's really good with her words. Magical. Fun. Unique. This is gonna be 3 words, but 1 of a kind. Is that 3? Does that count? Or
No, that's it.
Okay, great.
I like it. 1 of a kind.
Yeah, there you go.
Perfect.
Yes.
And if people want to reach out to you, how can they get in contact with you?
Um,
Shout out all the socials. Shout out the email. Shout out
So-
the address. Shout out it all.
Please contact my business. No, it's BochicBridalBoutique.com. You can either submit like a contact form through our website. You can email us at bochicbridal@gmail.com. You can message us on Instagram. That's also Bochic Bridal Boutique. TikTok, Bochic Bridal Boutique. Pinterest, Bochic Bridal Boutique. Like, it's all the same name pretty much. Or you can call the store at 513-954-4177. That's all.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.